Hey there, hi there, ho there, and hello there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we discuss the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics. Having a small but mighty crew on board today for the podcast. Case and I will be discussing the events that have been going on lately in the world of Louisville women's athletics. Daryl is out doing a myriad of things, from what she said in an email earlier, and will be unable to join us. And Jared is shooting a puppy,
Whoa.
and that worries me.
Whoa. Whoa.
I got this text from him that says Katie and I are doing a mini puppy shoot with Bentley. So it's like, are they just going to wound him? I mean, that's very scary to me. But anyway, no, they are having a photo made with them and their new puppy. And I never did that with any of my pets, Jared. Were you compromised and doing photos with a pet?
We have not done family photos with Rossi. We talk about it a lot. Uh, we haven't gotten around to it. We do take photos of her all the time. We actually have two puzzles that we got made that are custom that are photos of her. They are incredibly difficult puzzles because the quality of the puzzle is like the pieces are nice, but the cut is weird. So they're very loose fitting. And we also learned that they are rotationally symmetrical. So got about halfway through the first one that we did and realized that 6 or 7 pieces of the edge on one side actually went to the other side. And
Well,
that was after getting about a third of the way through the puzzle and finding an edge piece in the box, which was curious because the edge was completed on the puzzle that we were working on. So yeah, ended up finding where it went, which was in the edge. But it was an interesting puzzle. That's what happens when you have an all black dog, and you submit photos to get puzzles made that are one on a blurred pink rug background and another on green grass. So we haven't tried the grass one yet. That one will probably be just as difficult, if not more.
wow. My mother, sainted mother, years ago had a Yorkie, and he was quite a feisty Yorkie and everything. And she found in a store somewhere a jigsaw puzzle that would turn in. You could make it would be a Yorkie, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the picture on the outside of the box looked almost exactly like the dog she had. So the next question was, who's going to put this puzzle to? She stayed up nights working on that daggone puzzle just to get a Yorkie. And once she had it done, I said, well, now that you finish it, what are you going to do with it? She goes, well, why don't we varnish it and hang it up in the living room? I'm like, I don't know if you want to varnish it or not, but you could do that. But what we did basically is just made sure it was on there good and tight, and we put it inside a picture frame, and then hung the picture frame up, and it hung in here for quite a few years. A picture of Bobby the Yorkie, who was probably one of the meanest dogs ever in existence on the street here. He had no fear, Case, and this is a tiny 12-pound Yorkie. Okay, it didn't matter. English Bulldog, Golden Lab, Rottweiler, German Shepherd. He wouldn't back down from any of them. And I'm sure they probably looked at him in amusement, going, "What is this little toy doing, barking at me?"
Yeah, we've got a keyboard warrior. She's excited to bark at people and other stuff through screens, like behind doors. But if they're outside at the same time, she's like, never mind. I don't want to do this. Please take me inside.
And it proves the old adage true in your case. The bark is worse than the bite. Yes, indeed. Besides Yorkies, we have a lot of other things to talk about today as well. Got some athletic events going on over the past week, some coming up here. So let's go ahead and, as you have probably determined by now, it's me and Case on the podcast today. We'll be discussing Louisville softball, a little bit of Louisville lacrosse, of course, and also some changes within the makeup of Louisville and their basketball program, and also a very, very nice promotion of a former Louisville player into a position of great honor. So we'll get into all that a little bit today. Plus, everyone else pops our mind. I guess Case probably maybe started out with let's go to a little lacrosse today, maybe. Would be the way to get this going here and kind of talk about that a little bit as the cards, of course, have been busy in the lacrosse world lately. They play today, if I'm not mistaken, in their final conference home game of the year, if I'm not mistaken on that. And they will take on Duke at the Louisville Lacrosse Stadium. 2 p.m. game. Duke is ranked currently number 12 in the nation, sir.
Yeah.
So a tough match, I think, for Louisville here.
It is. Last home game of the season. One more conference game. They'll play at Notre Dame next Thursday, but that'll be it. The end of the lacrosse season has come upon us rather quickly. Senior day today, as you mentioned at home, will be on ACC Network proper, the 2 p.m. start. So Louisville got the joy of doing the dominating for really kind of the first game of the season since that game against Xavier when they won 19-6, and that's really only the other time that they've dominated. Have been on the losing end of a few of those recently. Last Saturday fell 17-3 at Virginia. So was a feel good to come back home playing Kent State and flip that score, winning 17-3 against the Flashes. Is that right? The Golden State or the Kent State Golden Flashes?
The Golden Flashes. That's correct. Yeah.
So yeah, but Duke, another ACC match, another top 15, top 10 group team. It could be a tough one. Would be nice for Louisville to get a second conference win. We talk about that incremental improvement that Teeter has been putting up throughout the seasons, and haven't been able to get over 2 conference wins in the ACC, if I recall, in any of his seasons so far. So need a win today and on next Thursday to finish the season over 500. That seems like a tall task, but if they could finish at 8-9, I think it would still be decent, and that would mean that they would finish at 2-7 in conference if they win one of these last 2 games.
Cards, of course, 7-8 overall, and unfortunately, as you mentioned, just 1-6 in the ACC. They, I think, got their first ACC win 1 or 2 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. They beat Virginia Tech for their first ever ACC win. And then right now, as the way things look for them, they're tied for 9th place in the league. And I'm not positive on this, and maybe you've got the numbers that I don't, but I do believe that there are 15 schools participating in ACC lacrosse, and I believe that the tournament is a 12-team tournament, or am I wrong on that?
I'll double check you right now. I'm what is the word? I'm eating some of my. Well, okay, never mind. I take it back. I was looking back through the schedules, trying to see how many conference games Louisville has won over the years. So last season, and I don't like the way that they did this. Last season's schedule, 2024, lists a 3-7 conference record. But Louisville did not win 3 conference games in the regular season. They won 2 conference games in the regular season, and then they won a conference tournament game over Virginia Tech before losing. So they went 2-6 in conference. So tried to trick me here. But they have beaten a host of teams in the conference. They've beaten Virginia Tech. They've beaten Pitt. They've beaten Clemson. Was the big win that they got last year. That was a ranked team. But the top teams, they have eluded them. This season seemed like maybe Louisville would have something, winning that game against Denver. But they come up against the top teams in the conference, your North Carolinas, your Syracuse, your Stanford now can join that list. Boston College and Louisville has just week in and week out gotten a little bit thumped, for lack of a better word.
And Denver used to be basically, when the Cards first started playing them, an automatic W for us. We knew we were going to have to usually go out there, but occasionally they came in here. Teeter would take a trip out west occasionally. Denver was always on the schedule, and it seemed like we would always roll over them. But over the last couple of years, the Denver program has gotten much, much better. And as a result, Denver is no longer the pushover that the Cards used to consider them as. Moving on to, I guess, today's game against Duke, some of the whys and the what fors about the contest. Duke does lead the overall series against Louisville with a 10-2 lead. And the last time that they met was last year, playing in Durham down there. And actually done not a bad game for the Cards. They only lost 14-11, so there wasn't a blowout, and that was back, if you remember correctly. And then I'm looking at past notes on this. It was a huge game for Kokoro Nakazawa. The older of the two sisters had 5 goals in the contest, so that's quite the feat for her. But unfortunately, the Cards did stumble on that one. This Duke team, I think, prepares maybe to be a little better than they might have been last year. They were 11-3 on the season this year, Case, and basically just came off a win over Pitt, 14-10. They are 5-2 in the ACC and are currently tied for third place. So, as far as them actually making the conference tournament, I would say no problem there for them. For us, we're going to have to kind of wait and see.
Yeah, Louisville has a chance. It is a little thin. There are only 8 teams that make the conference tournament. So
it is 8. Okay, I was wrong there.
It is 8 that go straight to a quarterfinal. Just found that. Was trying to dig into the conference, the tournament schedule, the standings. So Louisville, Pitt, Notre Dame all sit at 1-6 in conference. They are chasing Virginia Tech. The problem for Louisville being that they lost to Virginia Tech and would lose the tiebreaker there. So a little bit of positive that they play Notre Dame next week, but if they want to make the tournament, they are going to have to win win 2 games. I think. Looking at the tiebreaker, they would need Notre Dame to also win today to go into a 3-way tie, potentially. I mean, they need Virginia Tech to lose both games. A Pitt win doesn't help them because Louisville also lost to Pitt. So, yeah, it's not great. I say Louisville lost to Pitt. Did Louisville play Pitt this year?
I was just looking for that, and
we didn't. There's only 12 teams in the conference. We can't play all of them. What the heck?
Yeah, that does seem kind of strange, doesn't it? I mean, I think in some sports, the Cards play an opponent twice, and what is it with us here? We can't even. Well, anyway,
it feels like we could play 11 conference games.
The ACC and their scheduling, of course, as we've seen in other sports, is sometimes something that just kind of makes you scratch yourself upside the head and go, don't quite understand that, but that's so it works.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me. We're going to play 9. It seems like we could have just played 11, but
it certainly. I mean, you've got basically every year you've got what I call the Ohio swing, where you take on Cincinnati and Ohio State. And we did that again this year. Marquette's been on the schedule a long time. Of course, new to the schedule this year, Cal. The Cards did get an ACC win against Cal this year. They had to go to 2 overtimes to do it, sir, and did it in Berkeley, of all places. 10-9 win for them. And then, of course, as they like to say, then came the thumping as they had North Carolina State visit And North Carolina State, I think, is still out there scoring on Louisville. No, it was a
Just
20.
just North Carolina. North Carolina State does not sponsor field hockey,
Yeah,
which is, or I
North
mean,
Carolina
does not
State.
sponsor lacrosse, which is interesting.
It is interesting because when you think of the four Carolina schools traditionally that you think of in all sports, and the strength and the nucleus there, and then you come to lacrosse and it's like, huh? What's NC State's record? Oh, they don't have a team. So don't know the rationale behind that. And a lot of times you'll see if a school doesn't play lacrosse, they will pick up another sport on the women's side. But I can't tell. I don't know right offhand if North Carolina State actually did that.
Well, and they don't
For
play field
example,
hockey either.
yeah, no, that's right. They don't have a field hockey team.
Yeah, Wake, who
So
does play field hockey, does not play lacrosse.
it's certainly a. No, and you would think that maybe those things would come around eventually. For a long time, Clemson didn't do that, but Clemson eventually got to the point where they added both field hockey and lacrosse. And so the Cards, I'm not going to call it a successful season for them. Certainly a season that they are probably without any question case in the toughest lacrosse conference in Division One in the NCAA.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's arguable.
When you take a look at the powerhouses that are in the conference, and it's just like, here's Boston College, they're tops in the land, and we didn't. Well, 18-5 they beat us, so that was kind of a white bad. Clemson was ranked, Stanford was ranked, and you just go on down the list. Virginia was ranked. We played all those schools. Duke, of course, will be ranked when we play them, as far as we know today. It's currently at 12. So, as we look at this game, sir, let's just kind of be honest and frank about it. What kind of chance have we got against this team?
Ah, it's gonna be tough. But I mean, like I said, last year they beat Clemson. Clemson was ranked at the time. Um, they managed to win that game. This Louisville team can jump out and get you. We know they can score. They've shown it, albeit against some of the lesser competition. But even against Boston College, like we said, they managed to put up 5 goals. For me, that Virginia Tech game is going to be the one that got away. That is a home game. They ended up losing it 17-6. Virginia Tech just went on some big runs, but that is the difference in being in the tournament and not. They would be swapped positions with Virginia Tech, who sits at 2-5 in conference, 8-7 overall, and Louisville is 1-6 in conference, 7-8 overall. Is literally that game is the difference between the two of them, the head-to-head. And Louisville should have won it. I mean, Virginia Tech is not one of the teams that we talk about being great, and you had them at home, so that one's unfortunate. The game against Duke, it's senior day. You're going to see what happens. You go out there, you play your hardest, and you see if you can keep the season alive. If they don't make the ACC tournament, they're not going to make the NCAA tournament, in my opinion. So
yeah, I wouldn't think so at all. Yeah.
Gonna have to win. Like I said, if you need to win both games to make it to the NCAA or to the ACC tournament, then that means you have to win both games to make it to the NCAA tournament. So, season starts or season's on the line, which you hate to say against a team that is 12th in the country and 11-3 overall and stacks up very well. But Duke, although they've won 5 games in a row, all 3 of their losses this season have come on the road. So this is your chance.
So with the Cards having a senior day today, one of the facilities that has a nice kind of setting for that because it's close to the locker rooms. And when you bring the seniors out, the parents out, they don't have to really travel a long way to park or actually get on field with the players. The Cards are seeing some very good players disappear as seniors this year. 9 players in all. Let's kind of run that. Ashley Osborne, who was actually a graduate senior. Ava Coyle, played some great minutes with Louisville over the years. Lauren Figgis. Tiffany Latoli. And then Marley Scott. Abby Scully. You've also got Jay Pleck. And she just goes as Jay Pleck. There are rumors about her first name, but she has made it very clear that when you address her as J Plek. So that is what you do. And I wouldn't want to see what happened if somebody called her something else. Uh, and then the two Izzy's are on the roster. Also, is he a lacrosse player or not? No. It's a Izzy a cycle, and then the one I can never get not right in the pronunciation, Izzy Zykic. And I'm not even sure if that's correct. It's spelled SZE. SE.
SZEIJK.
Yeah.
All right, let's
So,
go. I'm on the pronunciation guide. It's just it's Zek.
Zek.
Yeah.
Is he cycle and is he Zek? Okay, well, that's. I wouldn't have got Zek out of that spelling.
No,
but,
I was thinking Zychek.
Yeah, I was saying kind of that would make more sense.
Looking at it in the senior day, like on the, because I think, are you looking at the post, the senior day post right now, or did you just go down the roster?
No, I'm just looking at the general info.
Gotcha. They misspelled it on the, so when I said SZEIJK, there is no I. That one is not there. So it's just SZEJK.
Oh, and they've got an I also.
They threw it in there in the middle of nowhere.
And the seniors, they've got it right up with the I in it as well here.
Yeah, that's,
So,
but on the roster, no I, which is probably why it didn't link correctly.
Be a good question for Lori.
A couple of those, those are names that we have heard a lot. J Plek, obviously. Second year in a row, you're graduating your starting goalkeeper. Lauren Figgis, who really stepped up this season in an offensive manner with the goals that left the team last year. And then Izzy Cycle's a name we talk about year after year on the defensive end. So certainly not it's not an unimpactful group that'll be saying goodbye today.
As you kind of take a look at the the actual lacrosse roster and some of the stats that have gone with it so far, Reese Whitman actually leads the squad in scoring, and she's only started 7 out of the 15 games that they played. So 24 goals, has 6 assists. So quite an effort out of her for not even starting even half of the games to be the leader. Nagai Nakazawa, the younger of the Nakazawa sisters, played on all 15 games, has 16 goals. And then you have Ryan Atkins in there, who's started 14 of the 15 games and has 13 goals. So your top 3 scorers will be back, as far as we know, barring, of course, students deciding to transfer out or whatever. After that, then comes Izzy Cycle, Lauren Figgis, and they're your next 2 scorers after that. So the Cards aren't really going to get burned that badly with graduation, but it does make you kind of wonder a little bit. With the switch in goalkeepers every year, this will be the 3rd year coming up next year. The new goalkeeper will be in there. That's got to play heck with your defensive strategies, I would think.
Well, and like I said, I don't want to. It's senior day. I don't want to dig into J Plek too much today, but there were a lot of opportunities that Louisville had in this season to put forth the other goalkeepers, especially Hannah Johns, who was an extremely highly touted freshman coming in, to see what they had in the season, and they just haven't done that, in my opinion, enough. So, yeah, it's gonna hurt again next year, because you're saying, all right, we got another goalkeeper, sorted out defense, but you had, and I'm sure in practice they're getting all kinds of time together, but are you running the one goalkeeper with the one defense? Or are you running the 2 goalkeeper with the one defense for the one offense to be against? As sometimes happens, it can be different to see what the scrimmage layout is. Inside the team, you can always kind of play curious different lineups but we don't know because we haven't seen Johns that much. I haven't looked again at the stats today, but when last we checked, the game that she got in was against North Carolina, and sure, she gave up a bunch of goals, but hey, she had a bunch of saves against a good North Carolina team as well in a game that they got absolutely blown out. So, yeah, I just that has been a curious position to me this season. Obviously, Sarah Adesh took the position and ran with it and was fantastic in goal. And so this season there was going to be a battle for it, and Japlek looked to return to the starting position after losing it to Adesh last year. So I get that it's tough. You don't want to put a senior behind underclassmen, but now we're in the position that we're in with graduating another goalkeeper, like we said, and like you said, next season's defense has to try and sort it out. And so I think to the credit for the defense, although it will hurt a lot to lose Izzy Cycle, you're losing a defensive leader who has had that relationship with the two starting goalkeepers recently, and so you're going to be kind of building up that defense together as a group, which might give you a little bit more. And Ava Coyle as well. I say Cycle, but Ava Coyle as well, a defender. You're kind of building up that group to take the new helm, as it were, and so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see next year. But I'm not writing off the end of this season yet. They could surprise us today, and then maybe pick up a big win next week and continue things.
Certainly, with the motivation of Senior Day that could be there. The Cards also have other goalkeepers on the roster. One that I've wondered, one she might get a little playing time was Aubrey Ragen-Stoss. Aubrey was actually out of New Albany, but not the New Albany you think. She's from New Albany, Ohio, New Albany High School. So she could have a lot of fun with people and say, "Oh yeah, I went to New Albany." Oh really? Yeah, New Albany. Oh wow. One that didn't get to see any action, freshman Haley Richards, who came in all the way from California to be on the roster as a goalkeeper. As you mentioned, Hannah Johns, sophomore, who he was one that came out of Wake Forest, right in the Demon Deacons' backyard. Except guess what? They don't have a squad, so she
Which
had
makes
to
a
go
lot more
somewhere.
sense how we ended up getting her.
She had to go somewhere. She had to go stay home and play. So we got that going on for her. I'd like to think that we're going to be able to hang in there okay with them, and the Senior Day will obviously be a very nice motivation to get the players out there playing and going. But Duke, of course, too, they're trying to make sure that they stay in the top four, and a loss today might hurt them in their quest to do that. So they're going to be coming in with maybe a little bit of momentum and emphasis, and to say, yeah, we're going to come in and try pretty hard too. We pretty much ran roughshod over Kent State last time out, and from what we understand, had a good game against them too. We like to say that we're going to come in here and take you guys, and we what it looks like outside. I know it's kind of chilly yet, and it's still a little cold out there, but the sky is clear, the sun is out, and I would think by game time, Case, we would probably be pushing at least the mid 50s to higher, right? Just a thought here.
I should think so. Already just about 50 at the time that we're recording. As I look, it just ticked up to 49 on my computer.
So there we go. Not too cold for the girls, and certainly to watch. I'm not going to be able to get out to this one, unfortunately. I would like to be able to get out there, but unfortunately, I can't make it today with something else that we've got going on later on this afternoon that I've got to be a part of. So, still, we got to wish them the best of luck and hope that they can do this. And wouldn't it be something to end the season with 2 straight wins? And we'll see what happens, though. The regular season rapidly coming to an end there. So we'll see what happens for the Cards there. Anything else we want to cover on Lacrosse, sir, while we're at it?
I don't think so. Gave it a good one.
That being, yeah, just go out there and give it your best shot, kids, and give us a good game, huh? That's all we can ask for you. Moving on into, we've got, of course, another activity going on, although this one being softball, and this one with the Cards. And I just lost my link on that. The Cards are playing softball today. I think it was Virginia. Did I see?
Boston
Did I remember that right? Boston College. That's right. I did see that. And now I can't find my link on it. But anyway, yeah, took part in a doubleheader yesterday up in Boston against the Eagles, and split that doubleheader with them. Louisville winning the first game. No, Louisville losing the first. I'm sorry, I'm all wrong here. Case I'm going to have to reset here.
Take a moment. Just sort yourself out.
Yeah, I've got to kind of get my information here correct, I think. But the Cards, went up there to BC for a 3-game series against Boston College. They will face the Eagles again today, and I think that one is set for a 2:00 game. And so they will be, I think it's a 2:00 game up there. And to end the series and try to get a series win against Boston College. The Cards, of course.
Very odd. This game actually, it says it's at 1, but the countdown for it would have it starting at 2.
And just say that's got me totally baffled now.
How very strange. Has the Go Cards website forgotten about daylight savings time?
You might think that could be part of it.
I say that, but also it's not. I mean, the countdown is not correct based on the actual satellite clock. This is odd. Because if the game were starting at 2, then there should be less than 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 30 seconds left at the time of recording, since it is 11:31 as I speak. And
yeah,
I don't know what is going on with the countdown. So this game is at 1 or 2 o'clock, and it might start at 1 or 2:02 instead. I don't know.
Yeah, because I just clicked on the watch link here, and the watch link.
We'll just say this game.
The watch link is still on Friday.
Oh, jeez.
So I guess we get to watch a repeat of the doubleheader Friday. And then earlier in the week, they had changed things around where they were going to play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then decided, I don't know what happened. They were going to they had a doubleheader yesterday.
Maybe they have weather on Sunday? Who knows?
Maybe they're expecting although you think it would have gotten there by now, the mess that we had down here with everything.
Oh, yeah. Got to be a different system.
I would think it would have to be a different system. But so anyway, okay. We have established the fact that we are playing Boston College, and taking a look at softball a little bit this year. The Cards have been, I'm not going to say great in pitching, because certainly they've had some difficulties there as far as their actual pitching goes. Of course, you traditionally each year, as she's done for a long time, Holly's tried to have an ace on the staff. And if you take a look at this year's roster and everything, I think without much of a doubt, Alyssa Zabala could be considered your ace on the staff. Smiley, as I like to call her, because she's always got this beautiful smile on her face, even if she's getting shelled and knocked off the mound.
I included a picture in my article today that I'm pretty sure Jared took while she is getting ready to pitch and is smiling. Like, I'm pretty sure she's in her windup.
Guess she knew she was throwing a strike, huh?
The ball is in her hand, out of the glove, and she's standing in the circle. So I don't think it was that she had just received it or anything. I think she's just like in the middle of the pitching motion and just smiling home. Hey, Bree, just smiling.
The Cards in doubleheader action yesterday against The Eagles, unfortunately, did lose that first game, 3-1, but came back and then grabbed the second game with a 5-2 win. Alyssa Zabala actually had her 100th start, by the way, sir, for Louisville yesterday. So certainly a player that I think when you take a look at the pictures that the Cards have had over the years, and boy, you can certainly name some really great ones. Taylor Roby, for example, and let's not forget Megan Hensley, and of course, one of my favorites of all time was Marissa Becker and the strength that she had on the mound. Holly has I wouldn't call it a knack, but a lot of luck in drawing in very good pitchers. And maybe it's because she was a pitcher and understands when she played and the pitcher's mentality and the things that a pitcher has to go through out there on the mound and such. But yeah, I think that you could probably, I'd say, put Zabala on that list of great Cards pitchers of all times. And certainly, I don't know, out of the ones I mentioned to you, though, I don't know if you could ever pick a favorite or the best out of those. Boy, that's a good career of pitchers right there. And also, I think one in the waiting, perhaps, Brooke Gray. Brooke, who was everything in the world in the state of Kentucky her senior year at Ballard High School. An incredible pitcher who was, I think she only lost, one game all year?
Well, and not just her senior year. I think like Ballard was very good her senior year, but we shouldn't forget that they went almost undefeated her junior year.
Yeah.
The season that she committed to the Cards. I mean, Brooke Gray coming in was, I mean, among one of the biggest local recruits since, I don't know, Michael Bush, like for a Louisville athlete.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be gosh.
I can't think of somebody like
Daryl
local.
Griffith in basketball. No.
That's what I mean. Like you get to go like, Allen Houston, maybe. Like if you go basketball and like going back to local talent, Brooke Gray it was like, yeah, okay, that's really good to bring her. I mean, Amina Ekic was very good, obviously in soccer, but I think she turned out to be better through her collegiate career than even she was touted coming in as a freshman out of high school. So Gray has been going through growing pains, but I mean, yesterday's game, in the second game, both Louisville pitchers, Zabala had a bad first inning in that game yesterday, but most of the bad in her outing came in that first inning, and then she turned in a really good rest of the game. Brooke Gray had a fantastic game. Zabala's numbers, I think, look worse this season. Gray's numbers, I think, look worse this season. Both of them have some innings or games where they just didn't have it. And Zabala, I think, has struggled a bit with maybe a worse zone than usual. I doubt at this point in her career that she is throwing the ball terribly differently than she had been. But she's giving up a lot more walks, and I think it's just getting a different call. When you become known as a pitcher that paints the corners, then usually you get better calls. And this season it seems that in the early part she was missing the plate a little bit more, so started getting called for more balls and started walking more batters. And so now this season among the umpire crews, she is not a pitcher that is painting the corners. She's a pitcher that's missing just outside and gives up a bit more walks. And so, it kind of plays into itself in that way. But Louisville's offense, it's easy to forget that they've lost a lot of offensive firepower the last few years. And they're doing pretty good. They've got some pop. Charla Rins is maybe one of the best bats that we've seen for Louisville in quite a while. Lotus is slumping currently, but at the top of the order, when she gets on base, when Matt gets on base, it's an automatic. It's basically an automatic double. If they're standing on first, they might as well be standing on second. and that's assuming they haven't hit the ball into a minor gap that puts them on second anyway. But everybody on the team is a threat on the base paths. The issue is that sometimes they just can't get on the base paths. Or they do get on the base paths, and stealing home is quite difficult. So if they don't get batted in, then you're just leaving runners on base. And so the offense has not been there for this Louisville team as much this season. And I think that has really hurt the overall win numbers for at least the two aces. And then Sambu, who has, I think Sambu is in a confidence crisis at the moment, which may be a little bit overselling the issue, but I don't really have a better term to use. But it seems like she keeps getting put in difficult positions and then keeps immediately walking the first batter she faces, which makes the position more difficult. Gives up a few runs and then gets a quick hook. You know, I think Boo needs some starts. I think that would help. Some starts with a longer leash to where she can really get her confidence back in the circle. And if you've got three very dependable pitchers, and Lindsey Mullen is very, very capable as well. There's some other pitchers on the staff who are doing well. But I think since the offense is not there at the moment, then Louisville cannot be giving up runs. And so they need the pitchers to be as good as they can. And yeah, that's a long-winded way to say, offense, please be better. Holly, please get the pitchers a little bit more in line than they already are.
And certainly so. And I think that Gray is maybe the one that you're kind of sitting there and thinking, okay, maybe the junior year's her year. Because take a look at what this girl did in high school. And I'm not going to go through the whole list, but she was the MVP of the 2022 and the 2023 state tournaments that her school, Ballard, won each year. They were undefeated in 2022 and took the title again in 23. As a junior, she posted a 28-0 record in the circle with an 0.82 ERA, sir. Going to a senior.
It's pretty good.
A little bit better as a senior. She was 29-0. ERA, yeah, I think I'm going to go 0.81 this year. Just a tad better. And here's the stats that get me on both years. And in 2000, as a junior, she had 380 strikeouts, Case. 380 strikeouts in 186 innings. And she was down a little bit her senior year with only 307 strikeouts. Gee, just that many. And that's it's incredible. It's almost 2 strikeouts an inning when you take a look at it. So, yeah, certainly, of course, they'll tell you, and I believe it too, that college is a whole different game than high school. Okay. Maybe the junior year is her year. She's had 2 years to be able to get out and test the waters in a very, very strong conference in the ACC. I think when you take a look at ACC softball, there are some definite powerhouses in this league, Case, that you just got to kind of scratch your head in and go, wow, what do we got going on here? They were some very, very good teams, but we got to hope for the best. Let's take a look at this one. I can't say that I'm optimistic about what happens, though, up at Virginia. It's a very good squad. But after that, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I am looking at this. I'm looking at Brooke Gray's stats this season. Because while we can't look at full team stats, if you go to a player, you can still see their stats. So she has, surprisingly, she only has 2 complete games this season. In them, so she had a complete game against Virginia Tech. She had the complete game last night against Boston College. Both games, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. In one of them, or in both games, she gave up 1 double. Last night she gave up 2 home runs against Virginia Tech. She only gave up 1 home run. Last night 109 pitches against Virginia Tech, 104 pitches. These they're just incredibly strange. Like how close that they were to each other. Virginia Tech was a 5-2 loss. Boston College's 5-2 win. So she had 5 unearned runs in that game against, or 3 unearned runs in that game against Virginia Tech. But those games almost identical. Now you look to her season ERA is 4.58. It's not great, but she has 40 strikeouts in 47 innings pitched. When I say that she's had some bad innings, she's had some bad innings. She had in the game against Duke. Really, Duke was a bad matchup for her. The first game she played in that series, she went 2 1/3, gave up 5 hits, 4 earned runs. The second game she played in the series, she played 1/3 of an inning, gave up 5 hits, 6 earned runs. So that one was a struggle. Had or I should say, 6 earned runs in that one, 3 earned runs in the first Duke game, 4 runs total. 1 inning against North Carolina, 1 earned run, but 5 total runs. A game against South Florida, 1 1/3 innings, 4 earned runs. So we would take out some of those ugly games, and she's having a pretty great season. But you can't take out those ugly games because it still happened, and they may have still had a big impact on the way that the game went for the Cards. So anytime that you see a 99 or a 126 or where's another big one? Those are the only 2 big ones. The 99 is because she had a game against Virginia Tech where she had 2 earned runs and didn't get any outs. But when you've got an ERA that's up near 100, that is not ideal. And
no, I wouldn't say not.
And those are gonna have a big impact on the way that your season ERA looks. So 4.58, it doesn't seem great, but as she develops more confidence, as she settles in more into the collegiate game, like we said, moving into her junior year next season, maybe those big innings go away even more, and maybe she gets even more of the strong outings like she's had against. Yeah, it's surprising to me that she's only got, including those 2 complete games, she still only has 4 games in which she has thrown at least 4 innings. So she's just really not been out there a lot in the circle this season, and so I think there's a lot of season for Brooke Gray, or a lot of good still to be had from Brooke Gray, and we haven't seen the best of her yet.
And let's hope that it's a slow play kind of thing that Holly's bringing her along eventually, because she knows she has a staff ace right now in Zabala. She wants Brooke to get a lot of experience and be good and ready to, I think, assume that role when Brooke is a junior. So we'll see what happens.
Maybe. I don't know. Zabala's only a junior now.
That's right. You're right on that.
So next season could be very exciting.
Wow. Yeah, because you would, just and you hate to mention the ugly T word, as in transfer, but let's not even go there. Let's say it's not going to happen. One thing that is kind of interesting to me, though, and let's take a look at what the Cards have been getting out of the youngsters into softball. You take a look at the freshmen that are on the roster. I think one of the ones that you can mention right off the bat is Madison Pickens, who's come in and basically just said, you know what, I think I'm a pretty good catcher. Why don't y'all let me catch?
She ain't catching. What are you talking about? Are you taking Bree Despinese out from behind the plate?
Oh, Madison Pickens is a catcher.
Is she? She's not playing catcher.
Well,
she's a utility player. She's been playing all over the place. That's what it is.
Oh, okay. I was, once again, I was the wrong way Corrigan on that one. I had the wrong stats again.
No. The roster does list her as a catcher. It lists her catcher utility, but she's She's not been playing catcher unless she's giving Bree Despines a game off here and there.
Yeah, 'cause I was kind of looking at her other stats there, so I was wrong on that one. So, boy, error on the show host.
I
But
think we've been playing her in
certainly
the
has been
outfield most of the time.
other freshmen that are on the roster. You got Ryan Sanders, and she's a right-handed pitcher for the Cards. I don't recall a whole lot of action for her this year. You've got Riley Jonda, who has came in several times and as a freshman and had some key plays and key hits for Louisville. She's actually out of Greenwood, Indiana, a suburb of Indianapolis up there. And taking a look at some of the other freshmen, because Holly has brought in quite a few of them as you look who's on there and some of the freshmen that are on the roster. Jordan Williams, who came to us all the way from Cummings, Georgia, and is an outfielder. Don't have a lot of stat numbers on her yet, but certainly as a freshman that happens. She'll get there in time, I think. And then, of course, moving on through Michaela Milby, listed as a utility player. She was at Ballard also, high school here in Louisville as well. And you take just a quick look at what was going on with her at Ballard. Certainly, the Cards saw some of the things that she could do. She was on the Louisville Lady Sluggers team, for example, in club ball, and had all state honors and all tournament honors and all region honors last year. As a junior, she batted 45 Case. And I'd say that's hitting the ball pretty fair there, buddy.
Okay.
Hitting the ball pretty fair there. So Louisville has done well with Ballard recruits. And I have to kind of wonder, and let me finish up on those and see. Did I name everybody that is a freshman?
Don't forget Charlotte Renz and Taylor Monroe.
Yeah. I was going to get to Taylor there. Charlotte is a
redshirt freshman.
A redshirt freshman, but still, she was unable to play because of injury. So that, of course, had her out. And Taylor Monroe, certainly one is coming and did some good things for the Cards in the infield. And as you mentioned, Shar, who one that I think is going to be very, very good down the road as well. So
leads the team in home runs currently, which at this point in the season, I talked about Louisville having a little bit of pop. They have a very little bit of pop. Charlotte Renz leads the team in home runs. She has 6.
Yeah, this is a small ball team.
Louisville's played like 40 games, and we played 39 games, and our team leader has 6 home runs. That is not enough to threaten as much as I think that they could. Monroe feels like she's hit some of the biggest home runs for Louisville. She only has 3, so all of her home runs have felt pretty impactful. But like I said, they're very threatening when they get on base. But you've also got to be able to threaten to just hit the ball over the fence at any given moment. And they just don't have enough players that are threatening that.
So certainly some powerhouses there. Let's hope that they can keep it going. Moving into news of a school across the city from the University of Louisville campus, but one that we certainly read a lot about and think a lot about and have seen some great things happen with them over the years. They have a new head coach in women's basketball, Case. As Charlotte, Chancellor Dugan, good old Chances, finally decided that after 13 years at the program, it's time for her to step down and take a little bit of a retirement there. And who did they name? No, it wasn't Becky Burke. No, it wasn't Shelby Harper. It was Monique Reed. Yes, Mo, who had been a assistant on the squad for 2 years, has been moved up into the head role. I think we maybe all saw that move potentially happening down the road when Mo took the assistant job there. I didn't see it happening quite this quick. But anyway, her appointment as the head coach, this is going to, I think, do a lot for the program. I really do believe that. Mo is a very popular, very well loved player here in the state of Kentucky and in other areas as well. And I think her recruiting skills are going to be top notch because people can kind of take a look at her and say, wow, she's the head coach now. I could have learned a lot from her out on the court. And so, your thoughts on the move, sir?
I mean, it's great for her. Um, it's a name that we all know quite well. I think you could say pretty easily. Um, we talked about local products. Modi Creed absolutely being one of those. Um, an all-state selection when she was at Fern Creek. Part of that 2013 team that went to their first national championship game as a program. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe a dual sport athlete at U of L. A thrower for track and field. Am I thinking of the correct basketball player?
Yeah, I think you're correct on that. Mo, of course, we all knew that she was there for basketball and that's what she was going to do. And I can remember sitting in those beautiful old wooden bleachers at Fern Creek watching Mo play and thinking to myself, wow, she's going to be something else.
I guess that was your hometown school, right? So she was
Yes,
the
it was.
backyard. So she's definitely been close to you. But she got named to the head coaching position at Fern Creek not long ago.
That's
And
right.
so very elevated or very quickly elevated career. She I believe was still playing in Europe when she started coaching at Fern Creek, and then ended her playing career to focus on coaching. That was when she got named as an assistant at Bellarmine, and like you said, just 2 years in, the Knights trusting her to take over that position. I think it's incredible for her.
And certainly a player that had quite a distinguished international basketball career. She, I think, played 10 years overseas at least. Some of her stops were Germany, Romania, Bulgaria, Israel, Jordan, Egypt, Chile, Puerto Rico, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia. I mean, well, she could probably qualify to be a U.S. ambassador if she doesn't outside basketball as her role because she's been everywhere and played quite a bit overseas. But
Well, and you look at that and you're like, well, that seems like she was just moving all over the place, playing all the time. But it wasn't really that. I think in some of those seasons, she's playing in multiple different seasons.
yeah,
We talk about the WNBA players doing that, but she wasn't in the W, but she was still doing that same thing. She would play in the Eurobasket season, and then she would play in the Middle East or she would play in South America, and fantastic. 4 MVPs. She won 10 championships, along her career, and in that last season that she played, where she played in Turkey, 31 points per game. I mean,
it's amazing,
that's
isn't it?
incredible.
At Fern Creek, Mo was still holds the record of being the all-time leading scorer, putting up 2,600 points. Think about that, 2,666 in basically 5 years of high school ball. She, as an eighth grader, she was on the bench. Was used occasionally, but not very often. And as a freshman, she came in. At least they had the experience of knowing what it was like to suit up and watch a varsity basketball game. Came in and took over right away. She's also the leading rebounder of all time at Fern Creek as well, and with 1,558 career rebounds. Thinking she averaged 25.4 points a game in 4 years.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's like a season. That's a good season average, and she did that over her career.
yeah, and so I think, and plus she knows the lay of the land as far as other coaches go, and what she's going to be running into. I think as Bellarmine tries to kind of establish themselves as a potential force down the road in D1 women's basketball, and it's going to be tough to do, obviously. But in looking what she's got to work with coming back, I tried to look at some of these players that they've got on the roster. They've got a Serbian in Mina Milosevic. Uh, I'm trying to find some others that stand out from the last time I saw them play. Uh, on her staff, just looking at that, she's basically got one scorer listed right now on her staff. She has no assistants named yet. Kind of makes you wonder who will she go after, what will she do? But, and she's got a roster here, and kind of taking a look at it a little bit. Uh, there's just not a whole lot of experience there. She has Aaron Toller. Some people might remember Aaron Toller for playing the UK. Was a Sacred Heart girl as well, and then went to UK also. Spent a couple years playing at Georgetown College, as she's a graduate student at her third school now. So hopefully she'll be able to come in and give a little immediate help to the Knights. I would think anyway, with the wealth of experience at those two schools. Uh, but still, as a first year coach, it's going to be tough, and I think she's going to basically, her first rule, I would think, Case, would be assemble a good staff to help her.
Yeah, and I think that I would not be surprised to see some of the others stay around from the group. Just haven't been fully named yet, but she's going to have some other people to lean on. Obviously, in Louisville, she can lean on Coach Walls for recommendations, for help, for guidance. Another Louisville, former Louisville great that just got a major promotion, and Mo will be looking at to help guide her as she gets on her journey. In Becky Burke, who just won the women's NIT with Buffalo before getting named to that Arizona job, and so she's got good people in her circle that I think will be helping to support her, and we'll see how that group develops. Coming off of the best season that Bellarmine has had in the women's basketball program since moving up, and I think a great opportunity for her.
I think a great opportunity indeed for hers. I would say that it may not be the last stop on her coaching career, too. Okay, because obviously, I think she's got the abilities and the skills to move on further as she gets her experience at Bellarmine. And I'll be quite interested to see what she can do with Bellarmine, too. Uh, Bellarmine, obviously, a program who we've played in past years, just kind of either an exhibition or an early season game. Uh, never really took them all that seriously, to be honest with you. I can remember the last time that we played them was over in Freedom Hall. And it was so great to go back in Freedom Hall and just experience all the memories and the nostalgia of everything that I used to experience there when I was going to men's basketball games and watching the women play there, and even to the media room there, which had not changed in all those years. Still like an oversized closet, but it was their media room. They were proud of it. And they gave us a nice box lunch before the game too. So anyway, you know, Bellarmine is a program that could make grounds with the right people. I think they've got the right coach though, and we'll see what happens with that. And other than that, I don't know what other things we can discuss on. I think we've covered quite a bit so far. Uh, we do have a little bit of, I guess, transfer news. If you want to kind of step into that a little bit and let us know who's in and who's out.
Unless I missed something, nobody knew out, but Cardinal fans that got used to hearing the name Rain as a shooter in men's basketball games can probably look for a little bit more of that as Raina Scott joins the Cards, a transfer from Oklahoma. So coming in as a senior, played 3 seasons with the Sooners, 5'10" guard. She's not been the most impactful for Oklahoma, but we talked a little bit about how Louisville was going to need to refill some of those guard positions with players departing, and this is just another one of those players coming in to help bolster the experience portion of that. And so, she's a very, she's a pretty highly sought after recruit coming out of high school. She was first team all Catholic high school selection in high school, which in Brooklyn, not a bad thing to do. And she was a nominee to the 2022 McDonald's All-American game. Didn't make the game, but was a nominee, which is a credit in itself. Ended up going to Oklahoma over A&M and Seton Hall, and yeah, so she should already be on campus, or at least maybe depending on how her classes work out for the spring semester. I say that because the write-up on her says her transfer is effective immediately. So perhaps she has already wrapped up her classes for spring semester, or maybe is doing online classes. Not sure, but we shall see.
The program took some hits. Let's not kid ourselves about that. Graduation, obviously, with Olivia Cochran, Jada Curry, Jalea Williams, and Marissa Russell all graduating out. One that kind of hit us in between the eyes there and didn't surprise to me. I don't know who else it surprised, but Nyla Harris deciding that, hey, I think I want to try a different school and see what happens there. Infidon leaving too. She hadn't really done much for us. Had some potential, but I kind of saw that happening. She just wasn't doing anything, and maybe there's a chance where she could go somewhere and try to play. So, who steps up for the Cards? Obviously, the elf, Iston Boogaloo, will be important as a junior. We certainly can't count out Anaya Hardy and Isla Jefferman's coming in, bolstering up that middle that will be definitely cut rather thin with the loss of Harris and Cochran. We'll see what happens with the 8 freshmen coming in as well. So there will now be sophomores on the roster. Take a look at Taj Roberts, McKinley Randolph, Amana Berry. You got to wonder. Walls has got his hands full, but he's certainly got a lot of bright, shining stars waiting to pop out into the sky as well, Case.
Yeah, I think I think that the Chicken Little Sky is Falling transfer market is killing collegiate athletics. I think we are on the verge of seeing the tail end of that. Because to me, what happened with that was COVID gave a bunch of people an extra year. It made people antsy to move around. NIL was flashy and exciting, and people wanted to move early, but we've started to see a lot of coaches who, in those first couple of seasons, you needed to recruit differently. And football is going to be its own animal, but even on the men's on the football side for Louisville, we saw two fantastic freshmen running backs who we hope we will be able to maintain and develop. So still developing talent there, but Walls tried the transfer thing, and it was okay as far as constructing a roster from the transfer portal. It was fine. I think we were a little bit disappointed with how that season went, and I think that the path forward now will be you have to recruit the transfer portal, you have to maintain your own team. Of course, those two things do not change, but you can't just abandon building your culture, building the team you want to build with freshmen, getting them in, developing them, and transfers will be, I think, filling gaps, and I think that they will be taking opportunities where they exist. But for the most part, Walls very clearly wanted to return to a naturally developed program. We had, like you said, 8 freshmen, 9 I think on the roster last year, but
yeah, you had a late one that joined as well. Yes, it was a total of 9.
Like a ton of freshmen on the roster, and a lot of them return, and so you're gonna see Walls want to develop that, continue to build that up while bringing in players like Scott, like Skylar Jones, to help fill in gaps where we lose some unexpected transfers. But for the most part, this is going to be a team that's built like the olden days, as it were, I think, going forward.
And just in talking and such, how about that? I was looking at something else, and the Emus decided they wanted to take over the broadcast. But let's go ahead and move on into some final thoughts here, Case. I think that we've gone a little bit over our regular time, but we don't have a regular time anymore since we're not doing this live. It's a podcast only. So, your final thoughts, sir?
Yeah, my final thought is what a weird day today is. Thunder over Louisville canceled for I think the second time in my lifetime, and it's the second time in 5 years. So definitely interesting. A shame that rescheduling wasn't an option, and today's date being Thunder over Louisville, a bit of a unique scheduling hiccup anyway, with next week being Easter. Next week being 2 weeks before Derby, so the traditional day of Thunder over Louisville. And if it had already been scheduled for next week, then potentially the flooding, while it still would have impacted things, because River Road and the Great Lawn will still be an absolute disaster by next Saturday. Make no mistake about that. The water will recede, but when we had a flood 2 months ago, there were trees on River Road under the I-64 by overpasses. So it'll still be a mess to clean up, but I think that they definitely still could have held Thunder if it was previously scheduled for next week. And so they've already paid all for all the fireworks, so maybe we'll see a surprise fireworks show announced on the schedule later in the year, and and we'll just see. Or maybe next year's Thunder will be a sight like none have ever seen.
Yeah, year-old fireworks. Oh, that could be fun. Ooh. Don't get too close to those kids. But, final thoughts out of here, and I'll just keep it kind of brief. We've talked a little bit about basketball here at the end of the broadcast, and then I'm really looking forward to seeing one of the two small. We have a small recruiting class coming in for 2025, just 2 players. One that I'm really, really interested to see what she can do is 6'5", Grace Bugna. she is going to be needed to come in and help bolster a line that isn't really all that big, isn't all that experienced. And I think that she can come in, and if she's ready to go and fired up about it, I think she's going to be able to come in and add some experience to this roster and do some things, maybe as if not a starter or backup. I'm excited to see her play, and I can't wait for basketball season to get back here. So we'll see what happens with it. Obviously, wanted to see, you know, how good Taj is again. Incredible ball player there. Uh, Other than that's going to about do it for me. I want to thank everybody for listening today, and join us again next week. Another broadcast of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. Until then, as we like to end with a go Cards.